you remember about Obi Moore?
Well, he was just a great, great high school 400 runner. Could have been probably the greatest of all time.
You don't find no kids out of high school that did what he did. There's no way. There's no way. He was way before his time, way before his time.
He was the Michael Jordan of track and field.
The best place for you to have been racing Obi was behind him at the beginning of the race. If you were in front of him, you knew he was coming. You knew he was coming to get you.
You're talking about a guy who was number one since he was 9 years old at every level.
Whatever happened to Obi?
Have no idea.
Every time we go somewhere, it's the same thing. What is Obi doing? I mean, you know, what happened?
I heard Obi wasn't doing well. I heard that, I knew he had had problems in school, and so then I just lost track of what Obi was doing.
I don't know. It seemed like it was Alabama or Mississippi, somewhere over there, a JC or a 4-year school that really just put in a track program with him as the key point.
And that was the last you saw him? Was that day?
Yeah. I don't know. Do you know where he is?
Thank you.
Thank you.
At the exchange is running Clemson. LSU and Texas A&M.
When they gave me a call 3 weeks ago, I was at the house. I got a call from a man named Chocolate Man. Chocolate Man is real good friends with CK, and he's been coming to this meet for 40 years. So Chocolate Man called me and said, hey, I'm gonna get this guy named CK on the phone. I got some great news. When CK told me, I started crying. Chocolate Man started crying. Everybody on the phone crying, literally. And I said, man, I can't handle this right now. I need to call you back in about an hour.
I don't know who to start with. I don't know who to tell first, kind of situation. And I said, this is a very special moment. I can't wait to see you back at Franklin Field. Enjoy.
I called everybody that was important to me crying, because I know how big this is to get inducted. It's huge. It's just a huge accomplishment to get put on the Penn Relays Wall of Fame. And for so long, I always felt like the track and field world forgot about me. I got my start in running in '86. My first track team was the South Bay Panthers. I trained with them for 4 months, and then we basically left the team because we moved to Pasadena. When my mom relocated out to Pasadena, one of her friends in LA was like, well, since you work in Linwood, we could figure out how to get him halfway, which is LA, and he can run for the Jets.
The first year that he ran, Obi was not the best athlete out of the group. He sort of took a spanking.
Being at the bottom, running against older children, you know, I took some losses. I got beat up on, and I didn't like it.
He came back as an 11-year-old, and I put him in the 800. I didn't let him sprint that year. And this one guy, Larry Montgomery, he would destroy Obi in practice. We were running, I think it was the 800 meters one day, and we got to the 600 meter mark, and Larry went by Obi, and Obi ran off the track, and he just fell out and started crying. And I said, Obi, don't worry about it. It's all going to come together in the end. The end is the championship. We get to Lincoln, Nebraska, Obi takes it out. He went out in the 60 flat, the first 400, and Obi just kept going. He must have won by at least 20 meters. It seemed like it was more like 30 meters, and Larry finished second. That was the point where Obi started to believe in the program.
Actually, I didn't even know what the Olympics was. If I recall reading the article, he said if he stays on the right path of the training, he can possibly make the '96 Olympics. Because I followed after Steve Lewis. And Steve Lewis at 19, you know, ran 43.8 and won the Olympics, and he used to run for the Jets. So I guess with him seeing me break all his records, all his team records, he just figured if he stay on this path, he can make the team. When I first got to Mirror, I was a little scared. People are bigger than you, taller than you. They got certain attitudes. People are mad dogging you, which is like staring you down. So that first year, I was kind of figuring it out. You know, I went out in the 800 like at, I want to say 50 point at the state meet and broke down. Took almost last. You know, Granville, everybody just went by me.
When he went to Mirror, first of all, Obi's mom and Clyde Turner, they called me on a three-way to let me know that they felt it was a good idea that I still coach him because I had done so well with him so far.
I came from 8th grade, real dominant, breaking national records, running 47.16, and then that next year at Mirror only ran 46.8. But I should have ran 46 low, but it was a lot of fear in there because I'm thinking, hey, these guys are grown men and it's a lot of mess talking. So yeah, that first year I learned a lot, but the next year is where I really stepped on the scene and showed people what was up. I think that race in '95 state meet at Cerritos put me on the map as a legend. And the odd thing about this, I was training for the junior nationals. So I ran, what, 45.8? You know, I wasn't even peaking, not even close. The 200, that really hurt me. He leaned, he won. I started crying. I didn't like that loss. I should have won that. I wanted, you know, I wanted three golds. 4x4, I'm still emotional. So that emotions kind of tapped in to this race. Now our first leg, Joaquin Gray, great athlete, but he's gonna give you a 49 every time. Second leg, McKeel Haywood, didn't show up, scared to death. Sultan, same thing. He pulled every muscle in his body. He was supposed to give us a 46 high, 47 low. Didn't show up. The anchor leg grabbed the baton. He's out, flying. So Sultan, he dragging in, limping. I try to snatch the baton from Sultan and miss. Go back and grab it. So I get out, but I'm like, man, this guy is flying. Why is he going so fast? The two guys from up north behind me is running me down. But I'm relaxed because I know my body so well. When I get to the top of the curve, I see him look back. I say, oh, I got him. And then I make my move. That last 30 meters, it was just crazy. It was like time stopped. It's the greatest feeling. It was one of the greatest feelings in track that I ever had. Looking at the buildings and the streets, it really reminds me back in '96 and '97 when we came out here and did what we did. Shook up the world. So it's great memories, but this weather is unbelievable.
we had done something when Obi started high school. We had said we were going to do something. And that deal that we made was for him to, in high school, run the 800 all the way through April and then drop down to whatever race that he was going to run in league. And his 11th grade year, he sort of backed up off of that. And that's where I saw the change come.
A few things I think I made a mistake with was focusing on the team too much, like coming to the hill, which is easier than approaching the 2 miles and the miles with Coach James. So that fell off. So my 149.16, my junior year at Arcadia, I only ran 150 point.
To me, he should have came back and at least ran 148 flat to stay on schedule. And from that point on, he never ran 149.16 again because they were on a different schedule.
My junior year, my ego was planet size. I just ran 45.14 easily. So once we got to pre-Penn Relays, I was talking to gang a mess. But I didn't understand the science behind what I was going through. 4 rounds at the Olympic trials in July or June, end of June, July. I'm just thinking, hey, I'm winning. So we win the Penn Relays for the first time, walk in the park, go to state meet, win that easy. I won the 200, the 400, and the 4x4. I think we ran 3:08 at the state meet. So I'm getting ready for the trials now. But what I lost in November and December from my base started showing up. So my confidence is like, okay, I got 4 rounds. I don't think I can hold this for 4 rounds, but I'm gonna go try.
I definitely thought he had a chance to make the final, at least. And I thought he had a chance to run 44 seconds as a high schooler in the final. But 96 was the first year I felt I saw Obi extremely intimidated.
Anthony Maybach, Michael Johnson, Quincy Watts. I mean, you go down there, everybody's out there. And I'm walking by these guys, and I felt like a boy. Like, these guys are, like, big. Once I didn't advance, I was kind of happy. I'm like, I'm a little out of my league. Even though I'm in the race, I wasn't in the race. You know when you're in the race. I wasn't in the race. I'm like, these guys, they rolling.
I think that if he could have gotten his mind together for that particular event, the 96 Olympics, then I think you would have saw something special. But he could not get it together.
I think for many of us, this is the highlight of a season. There are other meets that, in some respects, are more important, but none gains the admiration, the heartfelt appreciation from spectators all over the world as what this meet engenders.
The 1965 Villanova 2-mile relay team is being honored on the 50th anniversary of their win.
Being inducted into the Penn Relays Wall of Fame is all about what you do at Franklin Field. It's got nothing to do with what you do any other place, any other time during the course of your track and field career. It's all about what you do on this weekend at the end of April.
That's Obi Moore. I knew him since he was a kid. Look how grown he is.
Once my fame got there, it was like I had the key to the city, the key to the nation, and the key to the world. And I misused my powers. Me and Sultan McCullough, we had ditched school to go to Long Beach to see these girls from Long Beach Poly. We have a dual meet, it's a Thursday, we have a dual meet that day, and we get back late to the dual meet. I'm a senior, Sultan is a junior. Coach Turner cussed us out, get on the track, what are you guys doing, y'all the team captains? So I hop on the track, I run like 47 flat or something. that's easy. It's on dirt, no stretching, and I felt something. So I tell Coach Turner, he said, that's what you get for being late. So I feel that's the first time I felt something. I iced, and I'm like, man, it's not going away. So I tell Turner, and we start going to deep tissue over in Cerritos, which I didn't know these guys didn't have a license. They're doing the elbow thing, digging in my muscle, breaking my muscle down even more. So it's feeling good, but I should have let it heal properly and let it mend. But I'm around people that's not professional. Coach Turner didn't know, I didn't know, they didn't know. They just breaking my muscle down. So the muscle's feeling loose, but it wasn't right. So when I get to Philadelphia, I have a pulled muscle, but the adrenaline, the crowd, the energy, my ego, my spirit, my soul, I'm gonna run because this is the Penn Relays.
Obi got hurt in March. He strained his hamstring in March. And I think that if they had rested him from March on until they ran in league, I think he would have been okay. But that didn't happen. They were going to break the national record in the 4x4, Hawthorne's national record. They wanted to run faster than 307.40, and they had the team to do it. The first team ran 308. The second team ran like 312. So you had guys on the second team that could fill in for him until he got healthy, but they didn't do that. They didn't do that. And I think that was the beginning of the end.
All right, we're down on the infield with one of the all-time high school greats, Obi Moore, who 18 years ago set this track on fire with his team, John Muir.
Oh! That boy trying to roll. When my mom kicked me out the house for getting the car shot up, that's when I just fell off.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I can't
No, that was good.
talk too much more about it than that.
Okay, that was good. Anything else you wanted to say? Any other thing that you remember?
No, he just was.
It was a long time ago, so
but he really was, guys. I mean, he was one of those kids that was just. He'd walk right by you, and he wanted to know what you thought about things, and he was a pleasant young guy. And how he got off to the on a bad side, I just don't know how that happens. You know, I know he'd come up through bad neighborhoods and bad home life, and I knew all of that. But it looked to me like he was going to be okay. I don't know what got him going backwards. It's really too bad. Because I've heard a lot of really bad things, and I hope they aren't true, but I don't know. But I hadn't thought about Obi in probably 10 years, you know. We lost one. Yeah. We really did. We lost one that might have been really good for this country. You know?
I can't even lie, I really cursed God when that injury came. 80% of the blame is me for not listening, because you always get the signs. The signs are always there. Back up. But you have one person saying, take some time off, back up. And you got 20 people saying, hey, let's go get it. Because James said, you shouldn't have run. And he's right.
He shouldn't have been at Penn. Shouldn't have been there. Should not have run at Penn.
You got some strong feelings about that.
A lot of people do because they want to see it and they enjoyed seeing it.
Now, the egotistical aspect of me is I need my glory. Going to Penn, getting that flag again, that feels good. So I want to feel good. Once I felt that, I should have took 3 months off, but I kept running on it, and I was a fool for that. But I was around fools.
I don't care how good you are, how good you think you can be, how talented you are, you can be destroyed by being around the wrong people and not getting the proper guidance.
once I got to Mirror, we had real gangbangers on our team. We had people getting shot, people shooting people, people going on the run. We had some coaches that was involved with gangbanging. I never got initiated in the gang. When I got to Mirror, I got initiated to a pretty boy clique called the 8 Mob. You know, we dressed nice, wore polo shirts, but you guilty by association. We're in beautiful Santa Monica. We're headed to Dragon Herbs, where I pick up a lot of herbs for my clients and myself. This is one of the best herbalists on the planet, named Ron Teagarden. The name of the store is Dragon Herbs.
So, what are you picking up here?
Just some typical herbs that I take for energy and muscle mass, and I usually get something for sleeping, some ginseng, some deer antler.
Deer antler?
Yeah, I love deer antler. It gives you a lot of energy.
You trying to rejuvenate your track career with some?
No, just energy, because I work with a lot of children and I be running around and I have a daughter, so I try to keep my energy high so I can function. Get the goji berries, put it in my cereal, get the longevity tea, and I'm good to go.
Is that it for you?
That's it. Angela Williams. I think she's the only female to ever win the NCs 4 years in a row. Keyshawn Johnson, Dorsey High School, Quincy Watts.
Back in the day, there was always rumors about where you were going. He wants to follow Michael Johnson. He wants to go to Baylor. Like you heard all these things. Was USC always the place you were looking to go?
USC was always the place. I did take a recruiting trip to Baylor for the trip. I took a recruiting trip to Arizona State. I took a recruiting trip to University of Texas with Bubba Thornton, but my heart was always at SC.
Well, I was already a sophomore, junior at Baylor when I heard about Obi Moore. Said there's a great 400-meter runner in California, and Coach Hart was kind of foaming at the mouth to try to recruit him. And we were kind of blessed to just get him in for a visit, and he came in for a visit, and I was actually his host. Showed him around Waco, and he really liked Waco, the small setting. And I remember him going to a Long John Silver's. We were going to grab some dinner, and we went there, and he was able to make a phone call to his mom and say, "Hey, Mom, I think I might come to Baylor." After his visit, he decided not to come, but he didn't say he was going to any school. He just said he decided not to come to Texas. He wasn't going to go to Texas. He wanted to stay in California. And that was the last time we heard anything of him.
In recruiting Obi, what was he missing?
The academics, as far as on the track and what he did at a young age, was as good as anybody. But you got to have all the pieces. Michael Johnson had all the pieces, and that's the reason he holds the world record. Obi had most of the pieces, but he didn't have all of them.
When he didn't get in USC, it was very traumatic for Obi. At first, he believed that he had scored high enough on the ACT test, which was 17. They told him he needed 17. When he scored 17, he was calling everybody, he was happy, joyous, jumping up and down. You know, I made it, and then they told him he needed 17 and a half.
Now this is the last nail in the coffin, because if I wasn't focused so much on hanging out, having girlfriends, going to the parties, and focused just 10% more on my grades, my grade point average would have been high enough where I would have been at SC. You know, just a little more effort, my life could have been totally different. I could have been on a world record team at SC. You know, they had Felix Sanchez, Jerome Young, Vince Williams. You know, we would have had a monster squad. And it's embarrassing to me to go to a junior college being the biggest track and field athlete recruited on the planet. To go to PCC, hey, I'm the world champion. You know, I'm on the road to the Olympics. I'm on the road to breaking the world record. I was like, man, I don't want to be here. And then the same thing when I got to Long Beach City College the next semester. I didn't want to be there. I just dropped out. Going to track meets, like, man, what school you at? Oh, I'm at Long Beach. Why you ain't at SC, man? Stop asking me all those questions. So I stopped going to track meets. And then that summer, where my mom kicked me out the house for getting the car shot up, that's when I just fell off. I had $10,000 saved, and I had me a Beretta 9mm, called my boy Marcus Hollowell, moved in with him over at SC, and it was like I was going to SC. And we had a ball. We had a ball that summer. Yeah, 98 summer was a whole lot of fun. After that summer, I had to get out of town. My mom was like, if you don't get away, you're gonna get killed. I'm like, man, I'm good, I can get killed anywhere. So I didn't really wanna go to Atlanta. The first week I got there, I fought just to fight. And my personality is I'm gonna be good at something. So if I can't exude my testosterone in track, I'm gonna get it out some way. So for that year and a half, I started fighting a lot, started doing a lot of dumb stuff. I wasn't focused on track, I wasn't focused on school. You know, I was focused on trying to figure out who I was. The second fight I got into, it was with somebody that was on the board member of some big investor of Morehouse. I beat him up, he tell his mommy pulled some strings, get me kicked out. So I come back home. When I come back home, I stayed out there for a year. I got a call from Raina Ryder from Life University back in Marietta, Georgia. So I take another semester where I'm here for another semester just having fun, rolling around, not training. When I get back to life, I start taking things serious. Started back training. Had a real sit down with Raina Ryder, you know, about my potential and all these great things and what I can accomplish in the sport. But you gotta realize 2 years have went by where it's been sporadic spurts of training. So my confidence was down. Usually before the season starts, I would run 46 at practice. If I'm running 48 or 49, I know the fastest I'm gonna run is a 47 something. But he's like, man, you're on a scholarship, you gotta run at these track meets. I'm not ready. We fly out to Mount Sac, and I see people I know. I said to the head coach, I can't recall his name, I said, I'm not running in front of those people. Because they expect me to run 45. My personality is I can't ease into it, I gotta show up where I left off. And especially if at Mount Sac, against people I used to kill and they running 44 and 45 low now, it's embarrassing. I don't want to feel embarrassed.
He definitely had performance anxiety, not in a small meet, but in a big meet, where there was a big crowd.
Like I could take a loss, but it's gonna be a close loss. Or it's gonna be an honest loss, like, oh, that was a great race. But to be 30, 40 meters behind, then that's where, oh, what happened to him? Oh, he ain't got it no more. I don't want to hear none of that. So I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm just gonna use it as a trip and look at people in the stands, but I couldn't do it.
He became so big, if he couldn't live up to those expectations that he had before he was injured, then he didn't want to run at all.
So we went back to the drawing board, getting stronger, confidence getting up. We go to Canada for our nationals for life, and I pulled a hammy. I think it's more psychological, because I was ready, at least ready to run 46.5, 46 low, but I pulled a hammy and that season was over with. Something happened with either my grades or Ted Turner with the school dealing with how many scholarships he could give out. I don't really recall the details, but somehow coach had a hookup with Wallace State in Alabama. So I tell my mom, she's like, Alabama? I'm like, yeah, they say if I go there for a semester, I can come back to life. They can't give out as many scholarships and something about the grades or whatever. So I ended up in Alabama.
Was it when you were at Wallace that your girlfriend in Georgia passed away?
Yeah, she got in a car accident. She hydroplaned in Georgia and yeah, got in a car accident.
How did you get that news?
Her roommate called me. She told me what happened and I was just like, I was silent. One of my teammates was Casey Combass. He took me to the liquor store, it was about 45 minutes away, and I got some wild turkey. I drank the whole wild turkey. I hit the wall, and I just laid there. I wanted to die because she was pregnant also. I really blacked out that night. Now, when I came to in the morning and looked at the bloody wall, I started preparing myself for the funeral. She's the one that told me to start running track again. And that week beforehand, I had ran 2 back-to-back 33 flats in the 300 with 3 months of training. So I was back. That's what I was doing when I was with James. So I started training hard because I wanted to get back to Georgia, to her, and to life so I could be closer to her because that's where I met her. That was the first experience where I really felt like I was in love. So to lose love is hard because you don't know where that love goes. After the funeral, you know, I wanted to get out of Alabama and get back home and get to training. Well, we're in the city of Pasadena. I'm about to run away from this hill. It's the world famous Death Trap. Everybody in Pasadena, all the schools, Blair, PHS, Marshall, John Muir High School, come here to get in shape. So it's about, I would say 250 meters from the bottom, but with the incline, it's like running the 400. We call it the hill.
I worked with him over almost 10 years after everybody else gave up. I was still working with him, just thinking that maybe he may come back, he may snap out of it. We may get him to a track meet where he will perform. It may happen. I worked with him all those years for free. I wasn't charging him a dime, it was all for free because I knew the ability was still there. The practices were great. We still had great practices. But I couldn't get him to the track. Whenever it got close to, okay, we're doing well, now we're gonna go out and we're gonna test it in a bigger meet, instead of all comers meet, he disappeared. Wouldn't see him for a month, wouldn't see him for 2 months, you know, and then eventually I'll see him again. Okay, Coach James, you know, I'm ready to train again. Every year, it was always the same thought. Could this be the year that he finally comes all the way back? And I guess that's why I kept doing it.
I would get real close to being back, but it never was the same. And I didn't want to do the base work anymore. I wanted to do it through 200s rather than 800s because I didn't want to feel the pain anymore. I did that for about 2 to 3 years trying to make a comeback, but the results never was the same. So we'll go to the small meets and all comers, and I kind of just started doing personal training and working.
Nothing, I give it to you. Why you are always talking about the product?
hope that trip is awesome. I'm jealous that you're going international already, but we got to switch gears because we have a large event called the Penn Relays.
I'm actually jealous of you. I'm a Jersey guy that's, spent a lot of April weekends at the Penn Relays. And, say what you want about the crowds in Eugene, and Hayward's a great place, and it's an awesome, atmosphere. But there's nothing like, the on the backstretch at Franklin Field on Saturday when there's 7 Jamaican teams in Championship of America race, like duking it out. I mean, there's just nothing like it.
Okay, gentlemen, I want the number 2 runners only. Number 2s. All right, number 4s, come to me.
I had the pleasure of watching this young man run 2 times at the Relays. The first time he ran here, they missed a meet record by less than half a second. They came back strong the next year in 1997 and ran 3:08.72. A record that lasts to this day. That carnival record was highlighted by this gentleman's final split, a 45.08, and that equaled the fastest high school lead ever run at the Relays. I'd like for you to all welcome Obi Moore.
All right, we're down on the infield with one of the all-time high school greats, Obi Moore, who 18 years ago set this track on fire with his team, John Muir. 3:08, the record in that 4x4. Obi, welcome back, and how you doing?
I'm on top of the world. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm ready to see this record go down after 19 years.
High school boys 4x4 Championship of America. Watch out for Calabar in the green. They've run 3:06 this year. They are on the verge of possibly breaking our 18-year-old record by John Muir. Could he watch his own record go down? They're off. The team from Virginia leading early on. USA versus Jamaica right now.
To the front, an aggressive move out of St. Elizabeth.
Wow. Calabar's leg here on the outside, moving up.
That boy trying to roll. He gonna die though.
Anchor legs are off.
It is loud in this stadium. The Jamaicans are on their feet. This is a de facto Jamaican championship here in Philadelphia. Calabar with a 10-meter gap on the field.
It's Calabar, Jamaica College, 1-2, and coming down the final 80 meters. Calabar looks like they're comfortable with the lead to hold on to this thing to win the championship. How fast? It's going to be close to record. No, it's going to be off. Calabar wins, 3:09.98. Jamaica College in second.
3:09. We still got it. We still got it. Hey, let me put my glasses back on. We still got it. Hey. No, that's not him.
You came in here and licked this John up 2 years in a row, damn York. It ain't been the same since.
It won't be.
I know. I like that. Obi Moore.
It was evident from the morning run that there was going to be no stopping John Muir. It was just a question of how the competition was going to stack up against them. They had very strong competition, obviously, from all the schools in Jamaica, but here they were back again for the second time, and everybody knew something special was going to happen. And I don't think Obi was going to be denied. It was that simple. He put that injury out of his mind, and he went about his business.
Yeah, we received 2 of these wheels in 96 and 97. Actually, my friend Jock, who was the long distance coach for Mir about 5 years ago, gave me a call and said they was going to throw away the wheels because the program has went to shambles. I know Coach Turner hasn't been here for years, so I don't know who was coaching, but anybody that knows anything about track knows you're never supposed to throw away the wheel from Penn Relays. It's a no-no, so I had to come get it. As far as my running career, I am extremely bitter about the people like my mother and Coach James that I didn't listen to. I think it would have been easier on my body and I would have got more out of my body if I went to a smaller school that wasn't a powerhouse. I still would have ran fast if I was at the school for fools. But I wouldn't have to run the 4x1, the 4x4, the 4x2, the sprint medley, the long distance medley, week in, week out. Coach Turner you know, I think he didn't know any better. If you have a diamond and you don't know it's a diamond, what you gonna do with it? He only knew what he knew. Put him in the dual meet. Just run him to death. He shouldn't be put in situations where he has to run people down to win a relay at Arcadia. Is Arcadia bigger than the Olympics? Why not sacrifice that energy for something that's big? He doesn't need to run. But, you know, that's how it is. That's the hill. Come on, keep running.
Well, one thing about track and field, you can never predict the future. When I won, I thought I was going to win 3 more Olympics. That was my only one, and I'm blessed. Obi, if we would have had a healthy Obi, looking at the world record, looking at a guy probably would have possibly could have changed the makeup of track and field, and maybe we could have saw Juan Terreno double again, 8-4. I think Obi would have been no less than a 2-time gold medalist.
Olympic gold, absolutely. Olympic gold, absolutely.
43 flat or better. His lack of fear once he got in the shape that he knew he could be in, I think that you would have seen something that would have been unbelievable.
1927 up until 1977, when you thought about Pasadena and track and field, Sanford was the name. Sanford and Pasadena, they were synonymous. But when you got to Obi's year, from the 90s to today, we don't talk about Sanford that much anymore. When we talk about Pasadena, we're talking about Obi Moore. That says something about that guy. That says a lot, especially here in this valley where there's tons of athletes, not just in Pasadena, but all throughout the San Gabriel Valley. So, again, Obi Moore is a unique one.
Do you spend a lot of time thinking about these things and what could have been?
I spend a lot of time thinking about these things every day. Was it my fault or is this God's, fate for me? Because I really felt like I was supposed to be the fastest man on the planet, and I was supposed to break the world record and be on the Wheaties box and, have a gang of money. Obi Moore will be a living legend as a story. But I'm a chef. I like cooking now. I like simple things. I like to hike. I like to go to the beach. I'm not competitive. I don't want to fight. I'd rather walk away. I like simple things. I don't want to be competitive because you can't compete. I had to come to that realization that you can't compete. So the Obi Moore brand is for the past, almost like putting something on the wall to say, okay, this is a Mona Lisa. This is something that's ancient. It's over. And I realized that it's over. But for the next generation or for the generation that's in the now, they could go back and either emulate and see, dang, this is what he did. Let me see if I can outdo him. Or take pieces of him and add it on to myself. But the Obi Moore that you're talking about is dead.